try it again, but in a different context, a different mood, different sense of the situation that's at hand. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Pirates 3, Cubs 2 yesterday at Wrigley Field. The Pirates took 3 out of 4 in the series, meaning each of the final 3, and ended up coming back from what probably was destined to be a pretty bad trip with a winning record, meaning between Milwaukee and Chicago going 4-3. And along the way, there were further reinforcements that this team has 2 major issues. One of them very good, the other very bad. The very good is that they've got some starting pitching. My goodness. They've got starting pitching that in the moment looks like it could be the best in Major League Baseball. No hype. No extrapolation. I mean, good luck countering Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller as your top 3. And then, all Bailey Falter does is keep doing the same stuff. We just don't take it seriously or as seriously. And I happen to be a believer in Martin Perez and that he's going to find his command, as he had told me in Milwaukee, that he fully expects to do in his very next start. He's always been able to do that. So you've got not 1 or 2, not 3. You've got a 5-man rotation. You've got a 5-man rotation, 2 of whom are out of this world young guys. The third, in Mitch, as he showed again yesterday, is an established all-star. He has a 1.29 ERA through 3 starts in May, so he's all the way back to being Mitch after some uneven performances early on. And you got a solid 4-5. And then I'm going to add into that I know David Bednar is bugging people because every once in a while now he's still going back out there and giving up a hit or 2 in a crucial time. I feel like he's either back or on his way back, well on his way back. And the reason I say that is his off-speed stuff is going where he wants it to now. And from there, he's finding the confidence to climb the ladder at 97, 98, as he did yesterday. So there's Bednar. There's Aroldis Chapman throwing strikes the way he did yesterday. There's Colin Holderman getting everybody out, which is all he's done since that sickness slowed him coming out of spring training. Not pictured in anything I'm discussing here is any of the offense. But it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about the main problem with this franchise from either perspective, meaning the one where it looks like all of the wheels are coming off, coming out of Milwaukee, or this one where it looks like, hey, this is the start of something special. Because the same problem persists, and the same problem has to be addressed, whether it's me talking about so-and-so needs to be fired or this or that is terrible and whatever, or coming at you with all kinds of rosiness like I am today. It's the same problem. And it's going to require the same type of solutions. Some of that is easy. Some of that is just changing up a player or 2. I reported on DK Pittsburgh Sports last Friday, per a source, that Rowdy Tellez had to have himself a really good weekend in Chicago or he was going to get designated for assignment. Well, Rowdy did not have anything remotely resembling a good weekend in Chicago. So we'll see where that goes over the next 24 hours. But that alone would be a start. Jack Sawinski, every, 25 or 30 at-bats, sends one out of the park and delays what appears to be the inevitable because he's not doing anything in all of the other plate appearances. Maybe he goes back and Ji-Hwan Bae, who's hitting .356 for Indianapolis, comes up. Maybe Ben Cherington will alter his priority of defense over offense and have Alika Williams go down to Indy and Leo Verpagero come up. All of these would be plus moves in this regard. None of them would fully solve a problem of this scope. You're going to need to change the hitting coach, the hitting instruction, the hitting philosophy. I've said before, I'll say it again, I don't believe that's going to happen in season. If it didn't happen a week ago, it's never going to happen in 2024. But that's also got to be a part of it. Listen, this is a different circumstance, okay? This rotation is the kind of thing that should force your front office into immediate and decisive action. I'll probably have a better time saying this by putting it into basketball terms, believe it or not. You got 5 people you're sending onto the floor, and you draft somebody who's just a world beater, who's just a generational type talent. Heck, I'll go with a WNBA reference here in Caitlin Clark. As soon as she steps onto the hardwood for the Indiana Fever, that franchise is changed. Period. Regardless of what anybody does or doesn't do around that specific starting 5 in the moment, it's changed. Whether you like it or not as a front office, whether you're ready for it or not, you have to go and find her some teammates who are both talented and compatible and not jealous and all that other stuff. This management team, I believe, hasn't gotten that memo yet. They're acting like everything's just normal. It's not. It's not anymore. Get that memo and get to work. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's J1Q comes from Jason, who asks, DK, has Nick Gonzalez figured some things out? Is he the everyday second baseman now? Jason, it's a really good question. Maybe better than you realize. Because when you look back over Gonzalez's history in the minor leagues, the one thing that was supposed to undo him, that I was worried would undo him, doesn't really seem to be in play anymore. If you haven't paid attention to his statistics since he was called up a couple of weeks ago, he's now 9 for 34, a 265 average, nothing super spectacular. A couple home runs, that's always to be expected with him. The barrel of his bat is very lively. That's the best way that I can phrase that. He also has a double. He's got 8 RBIs too, and I have a feeling that's what's jumping out for people because it feels so precious anytime somebody brings home runners who are on base, as Gonzalez did again yesterday with a 2-run single. But the real numbers to watch, and I've been saying this for months on this show, as it relates to Gonzalez's strikeouts, and he's only got 8 so far out of 36 total plate appearances. This is someone who spent the better part of his minor league career striking out a third of the time. I mean, he was just a mess at the plate when it came to swinging right through pitches. And he once told me this. Pitches that he would see clearly, would read correctly, and would just whoom right through them. Now, what's changed for him in the minors? What's changed for him in the promotion since then? He'll explain it to you as simply being more aggressive. He's seeing the pitch that he wants to hit, and he's going and hitting it. Now, that doesn't mean he's been, excessively patient or passive or whatever. He's only got the 2 walks, and he wasn't really running up big walk totals in Indianapolis either. What he's done is he's looked early in counts for his pitch. He's gone up there basically with a purpose. As a badass, I'm going to hit that ball. And if you think about his productivity to date since his promotion, you'd have to focus principally on the fact that he's getting results in early counts. The very first hit when he came up came on the very first pitch that he saw. He's doing that systematically. He's doing it methodically. And it's the polar opposite of what's both preached and practiced here in Pittsburgh. So the answer that I have to your question, and you knew this is where I was going to take this, is sure, he's figured some things out. Sure, he should be the everyday second baseman. Jared Triolo's had a couple of hits over the weekend, but he had an opportunity there to really set himself into that slot and blew it by not hitting. Gonzalez is hitting. And as you heard me say, in several different contexts, this team has to begin prioritizing offense over defense. Gonzalez has not been particularly good defensively. 3 balls have gotten under his glove in the past series alone. In Milwaukee, he had a throw from home plate that he allowed to get past him because he tried to olay it instead of just putting his body in front of it. Everybody was critical of that in-house. And ideally, he learned from that. His only mission there was to keep the ball in front of him and to keep an advance runner from going any further. But I'm going to say it again. I don't care. I don't care. He has to play. The bat has to play. On this team, the bat has to play because there's so little offense internally. So he will play, and ideally, he will continue to keep his same aggressive approach. Now, within reason, you don't want the reputation of constantly going after every first pitch, or they're going to start throwing them 8 feet outside. But in general, just be the same guy that got up here and now looks like he's determined to stay here. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.